the second day of BSides Delaware. Yay. My name is Joe Klein. If you're here for anything besides fast-tracking your hacking cybersecurity career, I take the slow road, you're in the wrong road, okay? So I've been part of the community for over 30 years. I've been mentoring and helping others get through this particular process, mostly because I've played everything from a firewall guy to a chief security officer several times, chief information CEO. I've basically played all roles, and I've basically been doing this to give back to the community so others can get into this career successfully and grow into whatever you want to do, okay? So, yes, I'm affiliated with MITRE Corporation, and this is my position, this is my opinion, this is my viewpoint, the author. So, legal stuff. Let's talk about, first thing we're going to talk about is understanding the job process. A lot of people don't tell you that. I've played both sides of this process, and it disturbs me how confusing it is. So this will simplify the process of coming on board and be able to create a relationship and set yourself up to really succeed at a job. We'll talk about ways of increasing your odds, things about how to manage your career. From the time you get a job, you want to basically link multiple jobs into a career. Something that you can go to, some goal that you can say, I want to be them someday. Or maybe not, I don't know. Also, how important geography is. You know, there are places that you can't find cybersecurity jobs. There are places you can find a lot of jobs, but it's based on the role of what you want to become and where you are today, so you can find the best places. The importance of mentorship, and then a bunch of resources, which I'm going to take some time to go through these resources, because I think that they're so critical. Nobody puts them in the same place. They're every place. So, the cybersecurity job. So you have you on one side, and the organization on the other side. And if you notice, I have is there a laser? Laser work? Oh, yes. So you have an organization over here, and you have somebody with a job title. This job title may be the manager that you're going to report to. This may be an HR person. It may be some VP that has no idea of what your activity is going to be, what your task, what you're going to be performing is going to be. So that's them over here. That's why I said job title. You basically have job experience, education, training, certification, and special circumstance. We'll talk about that as we go on. So on their side, they have to define the responsibility for a job. They're looking for, they have a set of expectations, and they're trying to meet up those expectations. Sometimes those expectations are pretty outrageous. So does anybody write Go? The Go programming language? The Go programming language has only been around maybe 6 years, you know, for those that are interested. Most people have just started recently. I have seen resumes or job requests that say, I want somebody with 10 years of Go experience, okay? This is the kind of expectations that these guys have that we have to understand and help rein in what they need. The second thing is they're looking for two types of jobs for you to fill. And you want to position yourself as a strategic, not a tactical. A tactical many times is they're hoping that you're the cog that fits into this machine and you will do this forever. Okay? What you want is you want strategic. Strategic will give you, they have future plans for you. Maybe you're hired on to do this project for the next year, 6 months, 2 years, but they have a plan for you to actually drive you and help you succeed in your career, not just the job. On your side, you have a resume, which I hope you have one. You've had a professional or a friend in the cybersecurity community review and help polish. I saw a no right there. Okay, look, we're all friends, we can help. So there's a bunch of people here who can help you go through that process. You also want to have a bunch of interview questions. Why? Coming from the side where I'm the hiring manager and I'm asking all the questions and I'm just about to say, so, do you have any questions? And I get, nope. No, it doesn't work, okay? Have some questions, engage, and we'll talk about how to frame that particular item. So, this is the gap we're trying to get past. So, the job manager, again, we spoke that this may or may not have any idea of what this role is, especially if it's a new role. They may not have any idea how to frame a new role. If it's an existing role, they'll typically take the other person's resume and they'll go, yep, that's it, okay? So there's some expectations that don't work. So what they'll do is they'll break it down to tasks because they're hiring you to accomplish specific things. I want you to manage the firewall in a successful way, make sure it's logged. I want you to look at the IDS. When you're doing pen testing, I want you to win every single time you do a pen test, whatever that may be. And then, by the way, write the report. So they're going to define this based on tasks. So this will take some time. Again, a lot of times they don't have the experience, they don't have a framework. And we'll talk about that for those that actually do hiring. They can help you through this process to help, fill this gap. Okay, tasks. From a strategic and a tactical standpoint, tasks can be learned from an OJT standpoint in less than 90 days. If you click with the individual and you identify what those are, you could actually say, look, I don't know that today, but with some help I could do this in 90 days. Or right now, before you start doing the job hunting, maybe you're in school, maybe you consider picking up some of the classes and some of the actual techniques, because it's only going to take you 90 days, a few hours a week, maybe lots of hours a week, whatever. You got to get off the Xbox for a while. So recognize this becomes real important. The more of these that you have, and by the way, you know what one of these are that a lot of people see as a strategic win? You're here. We have a lot of people that want to be in the cybersecurity business, but you guys are here, and you win. But it's real important you include that on your resume that you're attending community events, be it meetups on a monthly basis, whatever it is. Okay. Next thing is the hard part for them. They then have to figure out for each task, based on usually somebody else's resume or some general idea they have, what's the knowledge, skill, and ability that you need to accomplish these tasks. And as you see that there are some abilities across everything, there's some abilities that only support one task. Okay? And what they typically do, or should, is create a questionnaire to help them understand where you fit here. A lot of times people will fake this. Also, based on your time you spend here and here, you have the ability here to start discussing, so do you guys have bonuses? Do you support retraining? Do you support additional training? What is your training process? Can I go to conferences? What is that? And the candidates need to, will have other things that you can't learn in 90 days. If you're, again, in school and a sophomore, freshman, junior, this might be a chance for you to spend the time and get some of those longer term techniques and learning behind you. So the next thing, once you go through this whole process, recognize you better make sure that your training certifications, past employment, everything is straight. It saves the process. This is the process that these guys hate. It takes forever because they have to send it through a background check of some sort. They have to send it through other people to validate. This could take a week or 2 weeks depending on, sometimes a month. Okay? So if you have all this straight, it simplifies the whole process. So the goal really is, The goal really is to fill this gap. Okay, straightforward. And anybody ever seen anything like this? Because this is really what we see in both sides. And this is one of the problems, one of the cycle times if you're in business and trying to hire. This is one of the cycle time improvements you need to look at is how to do that. Now, if you are anybody recruiting, okay? If you're recruiting, there is a document to a tool that's free that will allow you to help fill in the tasks and knowledge to simplify this process. Okay? It was created by lots of different people. It's been updated multiple times. It's pretty cool. Get you a picture? Okay, there we go. So, the big check boxes for your homework. Match the job with the experience. Figure out if that experience and the job can be done in 90 days or it's going to take a lot longer. What does that mean? You sit down and you look at some YouTube videos, you do some reading, you figure out how much. You set realistic expectations on how you fit into that particular job. It also preps you for it. And that includes education, training, and certifications. We have a panel discussion after this on discussing some ideas around here, but I won't go into that. Set of special circumstances. How many of you have a professional blog? Okay. You should have a professional blog. It should include, I went to BSides, and here's some notes that I took at BSides that are important about BSides. Here's a conference that I went to. Here's a book that I read. Here's my opinion. It doesn't have to be long. It can be 150, 500 words. It can be a reference to some other person's material. Okay? Keep a professional blog. Next thing, look at LinkedIn. Take that blog entry, cut and paste it to LinkedIn. So people that are looking for people like you will see it on LinkedIn, click on and actually start discussions. Does anybody write software and have a GitHub? Does anybody write software? Okay, do you have a GitHub repository?
Yeah.
Have a GitHub repository. That's again an important part. Anybody that doesn't write software, lots of you. Okay? Take documents that you've created that can be open to the public and put those documents on GitHub. GitHub's not just for software, it's also for documents. Matter of fact, if you look around, you'll see people that post their standards documents up there to get opinions from other folks. Okay? Get yourself a GitHub. These are free. Okay? Twitter. Do you have a Twitter handle? No? Okay. This is the Twitter handle not that you had when you were a kid or a teenager or maybe in college. This is your professional Twitter. By the way, please make sure you also have a professional Facebook. That other one has to go away. Professional email like teensy weensy crazy drinking guy. You know, that's not a real good email address to have. That's funny. Okay, so please have a professional email address. This simplifies this whole process. Okay? Did you attend any security groups and conferences? So which ones? When? Where? How often? Do you meet presenters? You know, have that information with you. Did you volunteer? So how many people have volunteered or done an internship? Okay, volunteered?
Both of them.
Okay, cool. Volunteer at a security conference. Why? Because you get to meet the most amazing people. You get to meet the speakers. You get to sit in the speaker presentations and ask them questions. You get to go have lunch or dinner or breakfast with them to ask questions of. Okay? This community is very giving. We want more people in this community. We want amazing people to help us solve a big, big, big problem. Okay? So, please attend those. Let's see, volunteer. Also, how many people have a home lab? How many people have a laptop at home? Okay? You should all have home labs. Just put VMware on it. It costs their VirtualBox. It costs nothing.
Yeah, well,
I have links at the end of this for exercises you can use to become better at forensics, networking, system admin, all the other basic features and testing and things like that. It costs you nothing. You just have to spend the time to go through the process. Okay? And then recommendation from friends. We have, again, we're a pretty open community. We're trying to bring people in, talk to people at this community and say, hey, I'm looking for a position. This is what I'm looking for. Very few people will turn you down. Okay, maybe they'll require you to give them a Red Bull, that, you know, whatever, a beer or something. I don't know. So, about the company. We have a thing called open source intelligence. Has anybody heard of it? Okay, guess what? You get really good at this because you want to know about the company. What do they sell? What do they do? Do they do services? Do they do product? What are their products? Are there big products, little products? Who's their customer? When you walk in and you know the person you're sitting across from about what their business is, they're far more excited than saying, I'm a security guy and I'm here to help you. Okay? Versus, hey, I understand you do transportation, you have these kind of threats based on maybe trucking or whatever. Can you talk to me about that so I understand what your environment is? It becomes a two-way discussion and not a one-way discussion. Changes the goal. Find out with industry, size, locations. Locations are important if you want to live someplace else. They may have their data center in Ashburn, Virginia versus here, or they may give you a chance to work at home in some cases. So those kind of things. Read their blogs. What's important to their management right now? What's their goal? What's their vision? News feeds. Before you go in for 2 or 3 days, watch their news feeds so you can bring that up as a conversation piece. Just start the conversation. So what is it about law? Also for companies, if you know someone there, great. If you don't, ask the community. I bet you somebody will know somebody that works in security at that company. Okay, it only makes sense. We're a big community. I mean, our big get together is, you know, approximately 30,000 of your best friends called DEF CON. Okay, so there's a lot of really good people. Plus, in this area, you have lots of BSides and other events, all within about 500, 400, 300 miles. What technology do they use? Go take a look at their other job requests. Are they using Oracle? Are they using Microsoft? Are they using Linux? Are they using AWS? Those are the skills that they're going to ask you for, not only on the resume, but everything else. Lastly, what interview questions do you think they're going to ask based on all this knowledge? Yes, Google, actually, somebody leaked here's the 10 questions Google asks. Did anybody do that for the company you're going to work for, or maybe the industry? Okay, get a heads up. This is a recon exercise. And by the way, look up open source intelligence in this community. This is a skill set that will save you lots of time and money and effort accomplishing things. Okay, so the job is something you simply earn money for. A career is something that connects your employment opportunities together. A job has a minimal impact on your future. So if you're just looking for a job, that's a one-shot thing. But with a career, it provides you the experience to fuel wherever you want to go in your future. So that's a graphical representation of my career. Okay. Yes, that took a lot of experience, right? So I've worked for people like people that created robots for Disney. I've done electronics. I've programmed for just all kind of things. I worked for a banking company that does ATMs and safes and all kind of things like that. And I've worked for medical companies, I've worked for a lot consulting-only companies, I've worked for government contractors. I've gone through a whole plethora of crazy experiences with these. Each one of them have different expectations. So my career was going to some school, learning, taking classes, continuing certification, continuously move and understand what's going on. By the way, how fast does knowledge about this technology change? It has a half-life of 1.5 years.
Got to recertify every 3, so.
Got to certify every 3. Okay, think about that. You know, if you were a physician and the lung moved on a regular basis, that would make things really difficult, wouldn't it? Okay, this is why it's called the hardest career, the most intellectually challenging career on earth right now. Okay, you're the people who can help fix that. So let's talk about the NIST, this National Institute of Standards and Technology, out of the Department of Commerce, takes information from the community, not only the government community, but the community at large, to determine when there's gaps and problems. One of the problems they identified was the ability to educate workforce and to bring workforce in this particular career. So they worked on something called the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, NICE, Workforce Framework. And let's see, did the tech slide over? Just like any very good government document, it has a really great title, and it has lots of other things. References for technology partners, employers, and things like that. But the more important part is take a look at the categories, specialties, work roles, and everything else. Okay? The recruiting stuff, it's okay. But what I want to bring your eyes to is this right here. Can you see that? Okay. We have many major roles. When I started, the job was something's matter with our computer or our network. Then it became, I think maybe something's really wrong with our computer. Could it be one of those hackers? And then it became, hey, I think somebody's attacking our application. Then it became, wait a second, our business application's being taken down. It must be a security issue. Can you go fix that? Okay? Our career, the career in this domain, we changed our relationship with the business people and with the people running the systems. So these are the major titles. Again, when I started, there was one major title. Guy that fixes stuff. Okay, now we have all these major categories. If we go down a little bit further, we have a breakout of each thing per section. Okay, so for security provisioner, you may be a risk manager. Here's what your role is: oversight, evaluation, support documentation, validation. Does that make more sense to be able to go through something like this to figure out what matches you versus just going through resumes? Yeah. So I would suggest taking some time looking through this. Yes, you may have to have a lot of these for coffee, your choice. But this will help a lot. And also recognize in most domains, they say junior, senior, experts. They use lots of terms for this documentation. Here's a framework if you're doing any federal business or any government business. This will describe to them what that means. Okay, back to the show. So in this recognized is this. We didn't have a standard lexicon. There's some jobs that have 85 different names in the field. That's pretty crazy. We didn't have any critical analysis on where did people come from in this field. The people that were most successful, where did they start? And also, you know, how about analysis? So they basically created a framework to define this so that we have capable workforce. You're the workforce. I'm the workforce. They're the workforce. Everybody's workforce. Here's some of the ideas. Again, the major categorizations. Look at this. 33 specialties. That's pretty amazing. 52 work roles. Okay? And then within the corporate world, there may be slight variations. Matter of fact, if you're doing forensics, you may be a forensics person that does computers. You may be a forensics person that does dead boxes or hard drives or phones or IoT devices. That's actually in these major categories. Okay? So the next thing to look at is look at the specialty areas. If you're into digital forensics, there you go. Leadership, management, project management, creating education, defense analysis, right there. Risk management, all of that. Okay, so let's try an experiment. Wow, it's not working very well, is it? Okay, go. That's it. Okay, so I have a link at the bottom that goes to this. Can anybody see this? Okay, so can I pick somebody? Somebody put their hand up real quick. Okay, you. Okay, so based on these categories of analysis, operating, collecting and operating, investigating, whatever, what's interesting to you?
Protect and defend.
Okay, so look at protect and defend. Okay, which category is important for you? Basically, cyber defense analysis, defense infrastructure support, incident response, and vulnerability assessment management.
Defense analysis.
Defense analysis. Okay, so here's a set of related classes that are available. Here is the abilities. Remember we talked about the abilities they're looking for? Here's the general abilities they're looking for. You know ping, traceroute, NS lookup, bing, we're there. Okay, how about your knowledge? But seriously, this is what they're looking for. Okay, how about your skills? What skills do you need? So I make it easier for you to understand what that role is. Okay, oh yeah, and here's some of the tasks that you get to do. Okay, I'm just going to cycle through. Now this is what they call the capabilities indicator. I'm going to give you a capability indicator I prefer, but what the capability indicator is, okay, I know how to do ping. I know how to use the command line on ping and do other things. I know how to use ping and I can look at Wireshark and see if there's any variations. I can write ping. Okay? That's the four levels that you need to consider when you're going through your understanding of any of these tasks roles. And they have their own equivalent here. They like including that you must have a PhD and things like that because the majority of people that did this were academics. So, not a complaint, just a reality. Okay. Go away. There we go. So I'm going to suggest that you go to this link, do some research. You may find out you have a lot of knowledge already because you've been doing IT. Okay, kind of cool. And then it gives you a gap on what you need. So, the big picture. Based on analysis of everybody that's in the field today and have exited already, these are the roles, the major roles that people had. And a lot of times they did that because maybe they were doing biological science of some sort, and they had to learn how to do a database to do their program. So they had to learn how to do IT and their database, and then they went, hey, I like the cybersecurity thing, and they slipped into it. Or historians that had to do lots of searches, and had to use analytics, and had to go through that particular process. So this is the majority of major roles that people start with. From here, when you're in the IT, here's the next level, the major roles. The next level for mid-level, and the advanced. Okay? So I'm going to show you graphically what this is an example of. So say you're a systems engineer. There's the optimal path through your roles.
I like that cybersecurity consultant is maps to nothing. I win.
You are truly unique. So anyway, actually what I've been waiting for, I left my phone on to see how many people were picking on me and watching it. Hi people at home. So as an example, you can see system engineer, maps to these, and then say you want to become a pen tester, so you probably want to become incident handling, so you have an idea of what type of attacks are being performed. You can then learn about those attacks in depth and then become a penetration tester, and then go into security architecture as an example, so that you can defend against these guys, which by the way really upsets it when you use their techniques against them, personal experience. Okay? The other thing is you want to map to how many job openings. Is that enough job openings for you? My general tasks? Wow, sound effects, thank you. Also common job titles that you'll see in the commercial world, education, top certification, skill level requirements, and additional skills that you want to basically start picking up on. Okay, so that long list is consolidated into this particular list. So, if I can get this to work again. There we go. Let's take a shot at somebody in networking. Does anybody do networking? Okay. So networking, if we take a look at it, it's 245,000 jobs. Where do you want to go from networking?
Cybersecurity specialist.
Okay, here we go. There's the optimal path for that. Let's take a look down below. Cybersecurity specialist, average throughout the country. Here's how many jobs there are available, job openings right now. Here's the titles you'll be looking for. In maintenance, we call, or in one of the major categories, the 7 major categories, it's operations and maintenance, or prevention. So you could actually fall within 2 of those major categories. Here's the makeup of education, certifications, and other things you definitely need to know. Is that helpful? Okay, do you see how you can use this to figure out and understand how to go through this process? Okay, so anybody else? Any programmers? Okay, system engineer? Did I hear system engineer? Okay, yeah, I knew you were going to say something, by the way. Okay, so where do you want to go from here?
Cybersecurity architect.
Cybersecurity architect right here. Okay, so from cybersecurity architect, here's the things to get there. Here's the things to get there. Okay, so cybersecurity architect, you basically want to drive through either pen testing, you want to drive through these capabilities, through pen testing, and then there's your cybersecurity architect. By the way, your cybersecurity architect, that's the approximate salary, type of number of job openings right now, and all the other items. Is that useful? Okay, so the other thing we can do is it's really cool that we have this list of all these jobs. Carmen Sandiego problem, where are the jobs? So fortunately, we have an interactive map. Okay, so these are the states that have the jobs, except there's one little problem. There are places in those states that those jobs don't exist. Let's go to the metro areas. That's actually the highest possibility of getting a job any place in the area. Let's come up here to, there we go. Right now in your area, that's a job opening. That's basically how many openings. I want to make note of this. There are some decisions you'll make that you want to move someplace to get a really good job. This area has a very large peer community. So you can actually learn from peers and things like that. In one of the places I used to live, it was myself and 4 other people. Okay? And we were the security guys, but we really didn't have a lot of interaction. You know, one was an auditor, one's a pen tester, things like that. This is an idea of making that decision. Also, what's the ratio of supplied workers? That usually allows you the ability to supply to negotiate. This is the average international or nationally and within the region. Here's the titles that you'll see. Well, take a look at this wrap-up. This is a breakdown of how many things you want to do. As an example, say that you want to become an investigator. If you're trying to be an investigator in the middle of Wisconsin, you may find 1 person or 2 persons. But if you go to here, you may say, oh, Philadelphia area, 41 investigators. Forensics people, things like that. That is open jobs. Those are opportunities for you. Another match I want to mention is take a look at the certifications. Red is the holders, blue is what they're asking for. Do you see a mismatch? Everybody did Security Plus. Now, by the way, I do want to mention, if you're going for a CISSP, Security Plus will give you half of the knowledge you need to finish the CISSP. So it's a half step, so you don't have to sit for this crazy certification that's extremely hard for a lot of people. Okay, some of you guys get to go to boot camps, things like that. I had to read the 40+ books because they didn't have those things. And then outline and outline and outline and stress it so it gets the test. It used to be a 5-hour test, and you sit down in this big room full of people that you have to drive to. And I finished in about an hour and a half, and the first thing I said was, you know, how you're in school and you're the first one to get up and go, I got it all wrong. So I spent another hour looking through everything, and I did well. I passed. But just like any certifications, you have to actually match what the customer wants. Sir?
Noticing this graph, so I had actually been at this site like some time ago.
Yeah.
CIPP, this graph is on the rec. They're saying we want somebody with a CIPP.
Yes.
There are more jobs that actually want that, but this is only reflecting the ones that have those letters stamped across.
Correct.
Therefore, like, there's more than just reading this and saying, oh, well, here, let me go here. You actually have to research some of this to understand, hey, this gives me privacy. oh gee, privacy's not becoming big and important anymore, therefore, like, hey, maybe I do wanna take a look at that and integrate that into where I'm going.
I'm glad you said that. I took a picture of you and looked you up. No, I'm just kidding. So recognize this is current state. You're totally correct. There's a future state of things. I was at a conference just last week talking about how are we going to protect connected cars, how are we going to protect nanites, how are we going to protect limbs that are computer controlled, how are we going to protect all this other technology. So you're right on target. Privacy is a big issue, but recognize this at least gives you a baseline and something to work from. Back to the chip. Yes, and there's another one. Now, if you're interviewing, you're going to be asked specific questions. So what do you think those questions are? Do you have knowledge of TCP? And they'll ask something like, hey, tell me about TCP. You can pick that up from a book or a class. You can take a class for that. Well, then you have the skill base, which I can apply to the book itself. I know how to look things up. I can look for the commands. I can kind of figure how to get this thing done. I've applied it in class. I took a class and I did a forensics of a file or whatever. I have experience in it. I can teach a class from a book because I spent the time to write it. And then you have the next category, which is expertise, which is I've authored new material, I've authored training, I've written a book, or I've helped write RFCs and standards. Okay? This is how the community needs to look at this stuff, because a lot of people also will have different capabilities in different areas. I'm known for my IPv6 expertise because I've been working on it for 18 years. I'm working on a book and help do a lot of these things, okay? But there are some things that I'm up here at, okay? So that's dependent on each person and what they're focused on. Okay, geography. Yeah, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Yes, you will have to move for your work. You may have to fly for your work. You have to ask that question, especially if you have a family or prepare to have a family or whatever. I mean, I've been on the road for a while. At one point, for 300 days a year, it was really cool until the day that I woke up and I said, "What city am I in? What country am I in?" That was a different story. Also be real tenacious about this. This is important for you to chase this down and spend the time. Put it on your calendar and do this. If Monday's a holiday, put it on your calendar. Spend the time to do it. I need more peers in my community. Please be my peers. Okay? Yes, because a lot of people want to go to Vegas. I just want to include this because I find it funny. Look at the offset of all the certifications. Look at how few peers they are compared to here. And look at how few expertise in each area they are from here. So there's areas in the country that you're going to be able to learn faster and you're going to have bigger communities, especially early in your career, considering going to those. Later in your career, you may want to move to someplace else that has less people, and know that you can afford to fly someplace or have your company. Like as an example, this is in the DC area. You must have, in the DC area, you can go to 1 to 2 security events every day of the month. Sometimes 3. Okay, there's just that many people, there's that many events, there's that many specialists. Next thing is, am I talking too quickly? Okay, so mentors. Mentor is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and push you in the right direction. Consider finding a mentor. Throughout your life, throughout your career, sometimes not your job, because your jobs won't pay people to mentor you, or they get in trouble because they're mentoring you, which is a whole other interesting conversation. These are the major roles that I have found that are most successful in pushing people into this career and helping them succeed. If we take a look at the challenger, they're going to say, you know, if you spend a couple more hours, there's a good chance at home you'll be able to figure this out. You know, you can do that. Or hey, I challenge you to get together a presentation today so you can be a speaker at DEFCON. Okay? You need somebody there that can challenge you. Cheerleader, hey, you can do it. Let's see, a coach. You know, what is the big picture of why you're doing this? Kind of bring you back to your career instead of just your job role. Let's see, connector. If I go out to Josh, I can say, Josh, I'm looking for somebody that does so-and-so. He is a connector. He'll tell you, oh, here's 3 people you need to meet to do that. Okay? Find connectors in your life. They're fun because you then get to ask different questions. You may find that, wow, I want to learn about this. They happen to be at the conference, and your connector will be able to introduce you and sit you down with that person. And by the way, it's not uncommon at these conferences to find a connector and you're sitting down across from the person that wrote that code, or wrote that exploit, or wrote that blog entry, or wrote that book. It's kind of cool. Educator, you know, what is your next step? Idea generator, somebody will sit down with you and go, I don't know anything about wireless. Well, okay, so what do you want to do with it? And they'll basically spend the time and whiteboard some ideas so that you can then take that and come up with an idea. Librarian has good questions. Superstar, somebody that basically can help you focus your goals on how to get to that next step. And lastly, a teammate. One of the things I try to do whenever I join a company is find a teammate, somebody that I can work with, that I can help succeed, and they'll help me succeed. It makes all the difference in the world, or 2 or 3 people if you can get a good enough community. Everybody in this community that is succeeding has a mentor. Everybody in this community that's succeeding has people they mentor. One of my mentors is Vince Cerf, the father of the internet. Okay? Conversations a couple times a year, really fun, but he gives me some insights that other people can't. Go find these people in your life, and then find people you can help through this period. Again, we need a lot of great people in this community. Okay, references. Waha! So, here are the national security training. Over 3,000 jobs are related and mapped specifically to these specialties. They may be SANS, they may be local areas. Yes, some of them are going to be for fee, some of them are going to be for free. One note is, and this is a dirty little secret, don't tell anybody, shh, don't say anything. If you volunteer, some training is free. Some training will pay, or some volunteer work will pay for your hotel room. Some of them will pay for your flight. Okay? SANS has a program, IC Squared, ISSA, ISACA, okay, from those communities, but also DEFCON, Black Hat, the bigger conferences. You can basically volunteer not just to create a community, but they're going to pay for your hotel room in a pretty cool place. You know, so that's a big price savings. So recognize now, don't tell anybody. Okay, other things, anybody looking to go for masters or bachelors or PhD or double or quadruple PhD? Because we're gonna be living forever, so we're gonna need lots of PhDs. PhD on PhD. So,
Don't have to live forever, pay that debt back.
this is actually why I want to actually mention this. See this group right here, and this group right here. They will fund your degrees. If you go on to, as an example, if, Army Reserves will pay for your degree. You gotta put some time in, but you end up getting experience at the same time. So these are places that you can do it and not, you know, put you in debt until you're old and gray. Other things, government workforce. If you're a veteran, any veterans in the area? Thank you. There's a really great resource for free for you today, and they add to this all the time. If you're doing government work, federal work, a contractor, or if you're state or local, there's a good chance you can get access to this right here. Okay, so that's free training. That's paying for it, and also other free training based on your background. Pretty cool. Communities college. Does anybody know any community colleges around? Okay. Here's material. Here's a whole course on information assurance that has been published. It's certified. Okay. So please pass this on to professors in any university. We want more people trained in this, and this is free. Oh, including educator course notes, which I like. K through 12. Did you notice all the little kids running around? Awesome, aren't they? So for a long time we forgot about something. You know what we forgot about? We forgot to build a community long term. When prices of conferences became anything from $10 to $25 until they became $250 or $300 or more, Black Hat is now $2,500 or something like that. That doesn't include the hotel and everything else. We forgot. We lost a whole generation of people. Those people running around, the little ones, we're trying to build that community. A lot of us participate and also contribute our time for that. So for educators, here's some classroom things to do. They have cyber competitions for junior high and senior high, which is pretty cool. There's summer camps for it. There's a glossary of good things to learn and chat. We also have things like DEF CON. We have the Roots program. BSides. We have the crypto kids, we have the Ford kids, we have the group we have here. By the way, this and DC's, in my opinion, BSides DC are the best for kids. They go away thinking, wow, I had all these new ideas and things that I've tried. Matter of fact, my brother's kids are here, and they learned how to program yesterday. And they're just so excited, which is pretty cool. Hiring managers. Here's 2 references for hiring managers. Enough said. Oh, okay, people are taking pictures. I'll wait. Okay, build a lab. How many of you have the lab? Oh, sorry, did that already. So, labs. These are great references for security levels. And why do we do this? Have your virtualizations and labs ready. You may end up having a weekend and you see some article published and you want to redo it. You want to try it. You want to see if it works. You want to try new software against it. You want to pen test it. You want to do a forensics. You want to see if you can detect attacks. These are just a few. I have dozens and dozens. If you provide me, email me, I'll send you even more. Okay, resources. There are LinkedIn. Update your LinkedIn. You're a professional in this field. You're an IT professional. You're a security professional. You want to get into roles. This is a good reference for getting there. Your WordPress. You can get WordPress for free and set up a professional blog in a few hours. You're done. Write something. Make sure you have a URL. You can include it on your resume. It's that easy. Conferences. There are more conferences every year. It's mad. These are the top 500 conferences, and yes, these are just the BSides around the world. The BSides as of 4 weeks ago. So I have no idea how many more have been added, usually a few a month. These are great, okay? And also Linux. See this link right here? How many people know Linux? How many people can read the documentation? How many people can do something with it? How many people think you could write a class on it? Okay? Seriously, this will help you, all of you, be able to write a class on it. Okay? This is great, it's free. And honestly,
It's a good site, it is.
yeah, and honestly, how many servers are using Unix and Linux right now? Most. Most cloud services, Microsoft even recognized it a couple weeks ago, the majority is.
So Red Hat just got bought for half of
I'd say
IBM's
Google's of
net worth.
Google's of dollars, but that would be unheard of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know. Thank you for the good jokes. Yeah. Lastly, here's some of my references. Notice that most of them are hair on fire. Oh my God, we don't have enough people. Yeah, pretty much. Take a look at this one right here. The myth about the shortage. This is what started me writing this. Because the myth of the story, this is, we need to help you understand how to get in the field and what you need to know concisely. We have to help the people hiring understand the community wants to be hired and they're passionate about it, otherwise you wouldn't be here on a Saturday. But also that you're competent and ready to move on to that, and they should use some of the same terms that come out of this framework. Okay, a job is something someone else controls and invests in your future. That's what a job is. A career is something that you control your future and both parties invest. Okay, think about that. That's what I hope for you. Because honestly, the first one is hateful and you go crazy and you leave jobs. The second one is, if you want to be a noun, be a verb. Be active. Get out there. Don't sit just while playing Xbox. Unless you're hacking the Xbox, it's good. Okay, so I work for a company called MITRE. Has anybody seen any of these logos or heard any of these things? This is what we do. We basically are mission-driven teams. We're dedicated for solving problems. Here's a list of our code. We make code available all the time, so if anybody wants to try. So our community is basically focused on fixing classes of problems and then making it public. And yes, we also support the National Center for Excellence for Cybersecurity. So these are things that we're passionate about, and that's why I'm here today, besides the red book. And if you're interested, there's a bunch of jobs. And if you're about to finish your bachelor's degree this summer, we have a bachelor's, master's, or PhD. You're preparing for that. We actually have a new professionals program, which is specifically for you to get lots of experience and training. We have internships and all kind of fun things. So feel free to contact me. You've got my email. Talk to me later. These are kind of cool opportunities. Otherwise, do you have any questions? They're taking more pictures. Awesome. Can I get a picture of myself with my own slides? Go ahead, please.
You already have a
a couple of years of experience, do certificates or certifications still have the same value you do when they're starting out?
If you maintain them, and by the way, we're going to go into discussions about that at the panel discussion. So you can go. Sir?
At any point in and through your career, did you ever doubt your career decisions? And if so, how did you either pivot to a new path, or how did you just continue staying inspired?
I stay inspired because of this community. I get inspired because when I come to these meetings, somebody does something like this, and I go, holy crap, I could use that, that's so cool, and I go home and do something about it. Or I see a presentation, I want to learn something. And honestly, we are very in demand and very common for people in this community to change jobs on a pretty, I can't say regular basis, but year and a half, 3 years, 4 years, whatever. So, you know, if you become uninspired, show up here. And also, there's several presentations on, do you feel like you've done good enough to actually accomplish some of these things? There are several presentations, imposter syndrome was what's called, that the community has called out. I mean, this community is pretty cool because we have this kind of stuff. We discuss imposter syndrome. We also deal with the stresses of the job sometimes and how not to just go off the rails. I don't know any other community that does this kind of stuff. And that's what keeps me motivated. Plus, okay, showing up and seeing something funny like, where's the, oh, he didn't show up. Is he out there? There was somebody running around with a dinosaur. I was waiting, he was supposed to come in here and dance and then leave. So that's what keeps me motivated, just the fun things that are in here. Anybody else have any questions? Sir?
Since I've been in the career so long, what is just kind of like a couple must-have skills or technologies people should invest in their education now?
Seriously, go back to that framework. It will make it really simple, but some of the baselines are get to know Linux. Linux is so important. Matter of fact, make sure you take your computer, your laptop, partition it at least. If not, make it all Linux, put VMware, and put that other operating system on top of that. Okay? Get used to that because that's where things are going. Learn a programming language. Python is the language today. That's easy enough to learn. That's impacting all of us in every part of the career. And then it becomes very dependent on where you want to go with your career. Those are two baselines. Oh yes, and be comfortable enough eventually when you get to mid-range to stand up here, tell stories, and flail your hands. That's a whole nother discussion. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna be around here for the rest of the day, so don't just like jump on me and whatever, but you know, and I'll stay around to get a beer. So, thank you.